And today will mark another day of protests around the county calling for an end to racial inequalities in law enforcement. We saw some people violate curfew in Santee while it was a different scene downtown. News 8's Chris Crow is live in Balboa Park with a look at where we stand at this hour as well as what's ahead for today. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, and we do expect more protests today. However, we heard about today's protests through social media, which is unlike what we saw yesterday, where a protest organically and through word of mouth happened here at Balboa Park. They specifically did not advertise it on social media because they wanted to avoid agitators who may cause some violence. Now, the violence that we saw in the East County in Santee was due to the fact that some protesters refused to go home after the city's curfew went into effect, and so then this happened.
If you're out and about for a violation of the curfew, vacate the area immediately.
And you could hear that sheriff's deputy there warning that crowd of about 200 or so that gathered at Mission Gorge and Cuyamaca Street in Santee to go home, that curfew was in effect. Now, that demonstration was peaceful all the way up until then, but when some of the demonstrators refused to go home, a minority of them, that's when sheriff deputies fired those pepper balls and even arrested some of the protesters. Now, according to the sheriff's department, no injuries were reported. Here in San Diego, again at Balboa Park, we watched that peaceful protest over racial injustice and police brutality grow from 9 a.m. well into the afternoon hours. They went from calling for from a stationary protest out to drivers and residents walking by to marching downtown from 6th Avenue to the county admin building. The group was made up largely of younger San Diegans and again was peaceful throughout their demonstration. San Diego police watched on as the group made their way around downtown. And SDPD has repeatedly said that only peaceful demonstrations would be facilitated, and they would no longer be facilitated until they turn violent. Now, of course, we heard them calling for an end to racial injustice, justice for George Floyd, and of course, an end to police brutality. Again, we have heard through social media that there is likely to be more demonstrations and more protests planned for today. So we will be here observing and watching to make sure that we have our eyes and ears on it as it develops. Guys, back to you.